Hello, guys, and welcome to this new episode of 30 Days of JavaScript. Today, we are going to solve problem number 10. So, we already solved 9 problems, as you can see. Well, we solved already 10 problems. So, yeah, this one is problem number 10 because I just solved it. And after checking on how much it took me to record the video, it was a lot. So, I want to make it short. Without further ado, let's go ahead and read the problem statement. Given a function, fn, return a new function that is identical to the original function except that it ensures fn is called at most once. So the first time the return function is called, the return function from the function that we are going to create, it will return the same result as fn. So it's not going to return fn, but it's going to return the result from fn. And every subsequent time it is called, it will return undefined. Okay. Now this is the example that they gave us here. So we have the function fn that will take some argument and perform some operation here. We are also going to have an array that is going to be given to us. We don't have to write anything about this array, and each element inside the array, we are going to take the element because it's going to be an array of arrays. So each element of the array inside the array has at least, I'll say max, well, as like 3 elements, so which are numbers. We are going to use those numbers to do the operation. So on the first element, when we take the first element, we call the fn function, return the result, and that's it. We don't want to call the fn function on any element after the first element of this array. So here you can see that the value here gives us 6 for the first call for 1, 2, 3. But then on 2, 3, 6, we have undefined. The same thing here as well. On 5, 7, 4, we have 140. But on 2, 3, 6, and 4, 6, 8, the value is undefined. So that's it as an explanation, like an example to kind of guide you how to solve this problem. So let's go ahead and break it down and start coding on this one. So the first thing will be to create a function called once, and this function takes an argument. Okay. So this function takes an argument based on the explanation here. This function will take an argument, and then we'll take an argument and return a function. Right? So actually, let's do step by step. So we are going to do this. So I'm going to create the function called once. I forgot the equal sign. And this function will take an argument fn based on the explanation here. Right? Now, this function once return a function. So it's going to return a function that takes some arguments. So we are going to have here return the function that takes some arguments. Right? And what do we want to do? Because here it says the first time the return function, because we create a function called once that will return a function. But the first time the return function, so that means this function is called, it will return the same result as fn. So this function right here will return the result of fn, of this function fn right here. But the fn function as well takes some arguments. So we are going to use the argument passed on this return function and pass it down to the fn function, so that the fn function can do some operation based on the logic inside the block of code of the fn function and give us the result back. Okay, now here we are going to do this. So return, actually execute. So we are going to execute the fn function and return the result. So here it's gonna be return. Now we are going to call fn function and pass the arguments from the return function. So the value that will be returned by the fn function will be passed up to this return function, and the return function will return that value whenever this one is called to the once function, and that's what we are going to get here as the result. All right, now we gotta make sure we check some boxes here. Now it says here the first time the return function is called. Now we gotta make sure that we track how many times the function will be called, but we want to return the result of fn function at most once, so we are not going to pass once. So once this fn function is called for the first time, that's it. We are not going to call it the next time, the second time, the third time, or whatever. We just want to call it once. So we need something to help us track how many times if the function has been called already or not. So here we're going to have a variable. Make sure, actually I'll check here, right? So check if the fn function has been called already, right? Has been called already. So initially it's gonna be false, right? It's called initially, it's gonna be false. Initially it's gonna be false. Now we want to call the fn function only once. Okay, now inside here we need to modify this part of the code so that we take this one into account by calling the fn function only once, and then after that we are not going to call it anymore, and we will return undefined because no result will be sent back to the will be sent back from this once function. All right, so here alright, so actually this part right here of the code will come down here. Okay, that's where we wanna check. So now here we need a conditional if statement. If is called. Alright. So this one, I'm just going to explain this one a little bit, real fast. This question mark here, exclamation point here, it's actually saying, like, it represents not. So when we have a condition like this, the code we can only perform the code inside this if statement or if block when the value inside here is true. So if I remove this one, it's gonna say if is it true. It's not true, it's false. So we cannot perform the value like any code that will be inside here. So in order for me to be able to do that, I need to put this exclamation point here, which is essentially asking, is the value inside here not true? or is the value inside here false? So is this one not true? It's going to say yes, it's not true, it's false. So the value now here will become true, because the yes, it means like true. Because now this value becomes true, we can perform whatever code we have inside here. And what do we want to do is, well, now that this one is true, take this code and run it inside. Run this code inside. But another thing as well is, like, if we call it for the second time, it's going to check, is this one not true? It's going to say yes. Why? Because this one is still false. So after checking for the first time it's not true, I want to update the value of this code here and make sure that the value now becomes true, so that the next time that we come here, it's not going to perform any block of code inside here. So what I need to do is change the is called value from, change it to true. All right, now it's gonna be is called is equal to true. Okay, now what is happening here is that, all right, we create this function. All right, we create this function. This function will take an argument, which is a function as well, an fn function that is being given to us. After that, this once function will return another function that takes some arguments, which is this function right here. So this once function will return this function that takes some argument. But now the function that is being returned by the once function will make sure that the fn function is called only once, at most once. It's called at most once. And in order to do that, we have to make sure we have a tracker that will allow us to, check if the fn function has been called or not. So that's why we create this variable right here, is called, that initially says it is false. So here I can also say, define a call tracker. So this one is essentially initially is false. Now we come down here. This function needs to return the value of the fn function, but at most once. Now before doing that, we need to check. Okay, before doing that, we need to check. So we are checking here is, so if whatever. So now the if inside here, we are asking is this whatever value the is called as, is it not true? So it's asking, is this value not true? Well, the value is not true for the first time. Since the value is not true, come inside this block of code, change it to true, and return the value of, and call the fn function and return the value. So now, after doing this one for the first time, now the value here becomes true. And the next time that we come inside this code, we will do the same thing again. Come down here, check, is this value not true? Well, it has been updated already after the first run. Now the value is true. It's going to say, no, it's not true. No, the value is actually true. So because the value is actually true and the answer was no, now this one becomes false. We are not going to run this part of the code. And I think that's pretty much what we had to do for this one. I'm going to, do this, make it short so that, you'll be able to see all the code on one screen. So why it's not? Okay. It like this. All right. So you can see all the code. All right. So this is all the code right here. This is all the code, pretty much, to solve this problem. This is the code. So I'm gonna go ahead and run it and see what result we got. Let me increase the screen again. Yeah. Go ahead. So we run this code. As you can see, we passed. All right. So we passed both cases, and I am going to go ahead and submit it. And it has been accepted. Everything has been accepted. So yeah, this marked the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you on another episode. Bye bye.